Hey everybody, my name is Ed Trevors. I'm an Anglican priest in the Diocese of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. I get to serve in the beautiful town of Shelburne, Nova Scotia, in the awesome parish of Church Shelburne that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I give thanks for you every single day. I thank God for the time that we get to spend together. I thank God for the prayers that you are offering on my behalf. I thank God for all that you are offering me and sharing with me and teaching me in the comments and in the emails that I receive. A while back, I was asked a question. It was a very good question, and Amy, thank you for asking me this. To paraphrase it, it was, why are you as a Canadian so interested in American politics, in particular President Donald Trump? Let me answer the second part of that first. I'm not really interested in Donald Trump. What I am, however, interested in is his influence. Over the last few years, here in Canada, I have seen his influence in the people around me, in the people of faith, in my friends, in people I see on the streets. I've seen that. I've seen bitterness towards others. I've seen fear. I've seen a desire to turn inward, to take care of ourselves first and foremost. I've seen intolerance. And quite honestly, horribly, racial tensions have increased. Our connections with one another have loosened. I've seen a decrease in decorum and mutual respect. That's why I'm interested in Donald Trump. To answer the first part of the question, why are you as a Canadian interested in American politics? Well, the answer to that is, I think, best summed up, and I'll put a link to the quote in the comments below. But it's best summed up by a former Prime Minister of ours back in the 70s, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. He is the father of our current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. But what he says in this quote, and he attended a supper at the Washington Press Club back in like 1970, I think it was like 1972, maybe 1970. Anyway, what he says is, and he says it facetiously, he says, living next to you, the United States, is like sleeping next to an elephant. No matter how friendly and well-meaning the beast, you're still going to be impacted by every twitch and groan. That's why Canadians are interested in American politics. That's why Canadians are interested in American policy. We are so close together. We have an undefended border, the longest undefended border in the world. We have a very intense and important trade relationship. We are, as Canadians, inundated by American culture, society, products, media. What happens in the US, like in the economy as an example, usually follows here within 3 to 9 months. We are affected by every twitch and groan in the United States. And that's why we care. But honestly, that's not the reason I wanted to have this talk. The reason I wanted to have this talk is because of what Amy's question, because I had to answer it, because I felt I had to answer it, I began thinking. And as I began thinking, I did what I often do, which is to take what I've come up with and ask myself the question of, what does this say about me? What can I learn from this? And so, for Amy asking the question, I get to respond by saying, hey, listen, we are wildly influenced by what happens in the United States. I can also understand and agree with the idea that a lot of the things that happen, a lot of the ways that we are influenced is not necessarily intended. The United States may not intend to influence us and impact us in some ways, and yet it does. It may not be their intention to shift us. It may not be their intention to inform us. It may not be their intention to influence us, but yet it does. You do. As a person given authority, being ordained, given authority in the church, in this parish, given authority through the tradition that this collar carries, through my title, through my position, and now given the opportunity, the authority as perhaps teacher, but I do learn a lot from you, and I really hope you understand that. It is imperative that I recognize that what I intend to do, I should do so carefully, because there are things that I'm hoping to achieve, there are goals that I'm hoping to make, there are reasons for what I'm doing, but I also need to be aware that there are unintended consequences, that I am going to influence people that I did not mean to influence, that I'm going to influence people in ways that I did not mean to influence them. Now, there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, honestly, there's nothing I can do about that. When you walk down the street and somebody sees you, even though you may not be trying to convey a message, they can gather a message just from what they see. There was no intention, yet they're picking up something. It's normal. It's natural. It's part of who we are as a species, that we are continually looking and watching and reflecting. So no, I can't be perfect. I am always going to there is always going to be unintended impacts from the things that I do and say. But I need to be aware of them. I need to be aware that the possibility is there. Because if I'm aware that the possibility is there, then I can at least a little more carefully process through the method and the message that I'm hoping to convey. I can operate perhaps in a more compassionate, more empathetic way. And ultimately, I think this is an action of love. I think this comes down to loving my neighbor as myself, loving my neighbor as God has loved me. Going forward, we can, just by recognizing that there will be unintended consequences to our actions, no matter how loving our actions are, that there will be unintended consequences, there will be unintended influences, there will be unintended impacts. Then we can tread a little more softly, a little more careful, so that our message can have a deeper, more profound, more genuine meaning to everyone who receives it, whether we intended it or not. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, and I pray that that you will always know the peace of being in the presence of the Lord. And I pray also that as you and I move forward through this world, as people feel our influence on them and on our communities and on the moments we all share, that it will be a positive influence. Amen.